pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We have a presentation tonight on the proposed Turk Road Bike and Hike Trail extension, and I'm going to ask Mr. Kelso, Mr. Fenimore to take it to the podium. Identify yourselves for the viewing audience, please.
Thank you. Tom Kelso with the Bike and Hike Committee, and what we asked to do tonight was to present an idea that came to us from Keith Fenimore and his son, Case, who've been attending our bike and hike meetings over the past year. And they live on Turk Road.
Okay.
And it's been one of our priorities for 20-some years now to provide better service in those neighborhoods off of Pebble Hill Road. And Keith has some ideas, he's got some energy, and that's how these trails get built. This is something that's in the budget for next year. We introduced it in the budget last year. It's still in the budget. We see it as sort of a long-term thing. But not long enough that I think Case will still be in local school district at that time. So some of ours take a lot longer. But I think its time is here, and Keith wants to present some of his ideas on how to approach this. And we have a meeting scheduled with Doylestown Borough, since this trail would go into the borough also, on Pebble Hill Road going into Green Street, past the country club. Okay. So there's sort of that segment of it. So I'm going to turn it over to Keith.
Thank you. This is my son, Case. Sorry about this. You can see it. So we're the Fenimore family, and we're about a mile from State, Maine, here in Doylestown, and we have a project tonight called No Brainer. And you'll see why as we cut through.
What is your exact address, Mr. Fenimore?
71 Oak Drive.
Okay, thank you.
So one day, my son came to me and asked if we could ride our bikes to town, and realizing there was no safe way to get there, so it was too dangerous, which resulted in this. Both Case and I try to avoid this whenever possible. We much more prefer this. So to Case's credit, he said, "Dad, why don't we make a path that we could take into town?" I said, "Valid question, and that's the very reason why we stand before you tonight." So as opposed to go it alone, we approached the fabulous, wonderful people at the Bike and Hike Committee, and we've been working with them pretty steadily for the last 6+ months. So we here's a map, and it's kind of small to see, but hopefully it'll give you the idea. It's a big purple line. We're proposing an expansion of the path that already exists on Turk Road, which currently ends at Bomica Drive. If you follow the purple line, we wanted to pick up the trail in the middle of Turk and connect it to Pebble Hill, which then turns into Green Street, ending at Hillside Avenue. Here is another shot zoomed out. Give you a bit of a sense of the size of the project and how it is a true conduit from the area where we're located out into town. It's very central. It's very large. That's my dog, and she wants it too. And it'll offer everyone safe passage in and out of town. So, a fact worth noting, which is pretty cool. There is a pretty big advantage to this, as PennDOT is doing Bike PA Route S, has already been identified by them as a project that they want to do in the plans. So the project hopefully will be viewed by them as a worthwhile investment, and we can get supporting funds at the state level for this.
That's a state road, right?
To further support Project No Brainer, aside from being faced by a really cute kid, who's behind me now, it's at the core of it promotes healthy living and community engagement and economic stimulus, which is hopefully something everyone can get behind and see the intrinsic value in. Okay, so did you put that in there? So feasibility, this is our first step would be, to get funds to conduct a feasibility study. We've scoped this and believe the cost to be approximately $50,000. With DCNR 50/50 grant match, the cost will be reduced to $25,000, and then we think we can split that with the borough, between the borough and the township, hopefully, to bring the costs down even more. So when we started the journey, Case was 6 and had all of his teeth. Now he's 7 and he's losing them at a rapid pace. It would be fantastic to see this project realized before this happens. And really good Photoshop, as you can tell. Anyway, that's thank you for your time, and we hope that we get some support, even though we feel this really is a no-brainer. And worth noting, we have a preliminary budget, but we decided to withhold it tonight because there were too many comments and zeros.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Well done.
So what we're asking the board tonight is if there is consensus to allow the Bike and Hike Committee, working with Keith and Case, to move ahead with raising some funds for this and possibly putting together a grant application for the feasibility part of it and work with Doylestown Borough.
What's your sense about PennDOT? PennDOT.
Well,
what do you think?
We've brought it up with PennDOT in terms of the Bike Route S issue.
Right. Bike
Route S is a problem where it is right now on Pebble Hill Road. So we think we've got some support there. When we had our joint meeting for the Central Bucks area last fall, I guess it was, the state bicycle coordinator was there, and we spoke at length about it. So we think we've got some support there. And plus, it also fits into what the circuit wants to do with a cross-county bike trail in this area, where we would extend the 202 Parkway Trail over to the river at New Hope or someplace like that.
If I was on Pebble Hill going towards the borough, you're looking for the trail to be on the right?
We had already talked to the country club. Stephanie and I met with them years ago when this was still a major priority. And at that time, the staff was in agreement that there was room there to do it on that side.
Okay.
And I've had talks with the people that live on Turk from where Beaumont. I've talked to people that live on from Beaumont Drive down to Pebble Hill, and it's pretty much a consensus that they're for it. That was kind of one of the first things we started doing before.
Okay.
And there are a lot of obstacles there. I mean, with homes near the road,
sure,
with the waterways that cut through on Pebble Hill Road and by the pond that was just rebuilt there. There are some significant obstacles, and that's one reason we haven't gotten to it. It's not an easy one to do.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think its time is here, and it'll eventually give people in a lot of those neighborhoods access into the trail system, and that's the goal. The goal has always been to provide access to all the neighborhoods.
Yeah. Sounds good. What do you guys think?
I think it's a nice idea. I think they should try to gather more information and see where it goes, but not ready to commit
dollars
at this point, no.
No, and we're not asking for that tonight. We're asking to let us move along with it, and we'll be back to you, like we have on all the other trails, multiple times, step by step.
Very responsibly.
And since the borough is involved, our next step is to go and talk to them.
Yeah, good.
So I think that's all we're asking tonight.
The Turk Road section in the right-of-way, won't be any construction on the road?
That's the whole idea of doing a feasibility study.
All right, and then
that road width, the cartway width is narrow there.
The only other thing that I strongly suggest and would request, if you are going to be crossing Pebble Hill Road, there's some type of flashing warning devices. Otherwise, I can't endorse it.
Well, we're not asking you to endorse it because we haven't designed it yet.
Well, I just want to.
We have a line going down the middle of the road right now.
As you're planning it, keep those things in mind.
We do, and I think you're 100% right about that.
Okay.
You okay?
I'm 100% okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, we're good. Good to go.
Thank you very much.
Consensus, the board is okay. I know Keith has some really cool ideas about fundraising. Is that okay to start? He wants to do some of that kind of sooner to get some fundraising. Is that acceptable, or I wasn't sure.
I don't know what we're fundraising for yet, so.
Well, I think maybe we can put those together in writing and
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
along.
That's fine.
Get specific about it.
Okay.
We
Just want
weren't
to clarify.
really ready tonight to get too specific about everything. We need to talk to the borough.
All right.
This is
Looking
just-
forward to hearing more. Thank you.
I think
sounds good.
the nice thing too, just from the liaison to the Bike and Hike Committee, you know, we talk about in the committee different trails we want to do, but it was really nice to see a resident come in, share the need, and again, he's, you know,
Yeah.
it was a year ago where you came to our meeting and brought his son, and I just think it's pretty cool, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
I'm not going anywhere, so thanks.
Yeah, good, thank you. See you, family. You're welcome to stay, but we understand if you have to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Milton. It's hardly a meltdown. Any visitor or public comment tonight? Hearing none? All right, our next meeting is Tuesday, February 7th at 4. The bicentennial will reconvene on February 7th at 2. We're going to have a pension committee meeting on Tuesday, February 7th at 3. So bicentennial at 2, pension at 3, and our board at 4. Movie and ski tickets are available through the township at discounted prices. See our administrative offices, or you can go online, www.doylestownrec.com. Christmas tree drop-off until February 15th at the New Britain Road access to Central Park. Stormwater Survey, it's located on our website, doylestownpa.org, under information, /stormwater. Survey deadline, please participate in the survey deadline. It is February 28th, 2017. Now, next item on the agenda, minutes approval for the reorganization meeting on January 3rd, 2017. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any changes, corrections anyone sees? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence from the tax collector, compensation request from Sarah Tomlinson. We have a letter from Sarah to me dated 12/31, and a resolution that was issued some time ago, 1990 somewhere, and an email from Sarah Tomlinson to me again dated 1/5/17. Everyone had a chance to review these documents?
Ms. Tomlinson is here.
Oh, I didn't even see you there. Come on up. Do you care to address the board, Sarah?
I'll have to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Any thoughts on the request? We're being instructed to instruct you to stand behind the microphone in the event that you have to say something.
Yeah, state
Fair
your
enough.
name.
You don't
state your
have
name.
to say anything. What is you can say your name if you
Sarah Tomlinson.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have something?
Yes. I'd gone through it and I looked at the increases you were proposing, but you didn't get into why you thought an increase was necessary.
Well, when I look at the compensation, I know that for the last 4 years, it has been the same. So there's been no increase over the previous 4 years. And then I take a look at the expenses of running an office. I do have a deputy that I pay. I pay for all my own equipment. I actually knocked my computer off my desk. I do need to replace that. It's not quite functioning the way it should. I'm also in the process of building a tax office in the township. Right now, I'm renting an office in the borough, and I want to get out of the borough and into the township. So I've been to the zoning board and gotten approval to start the home-based business, and some of that will help to offset the costs of having the office be built on my property.
And the compensation that you said you would be earning if this was approved, is that your only compensation? Do you get salary or paid from anybody else, the school district and everybody?
Right. So I collect for 3 authorities. I collect for the township, I collect for the county, and I collect for Central Bucks School District. And I'm paid differently and individually from each taxing authority. We've gone to all taxing authority. I've actually gone to all 3 and requested increases in pay.
How'd you make out with the other two?
The county did approve an increase. It's still on the agenda for Central Bucks School District. A vote has not been taken yet. I know there's another finance committee with them tomorrow, and then hopefully it's, because it has to be done by February 15th by law, because it has to be set prior to someone deciding to run for the next term.
Okay.
I just want, because it's been in the paper and a lot of things about, what the job and what the function is. Do you want to take like 2 minutes and explain the process and how we fit into your process?
So how I collect for the township is what you're asking, or
You
the?
get a list from us to collect taxes, so much money from each one, and you don't just work for the month of May when they're due or something.
Right.
And I think that's a misconception, so I'm trying to give you a minute or two.
Sure. So the process really starts around February. We get a very large file from the county, prepares it for us from the Board of Assessments. We load that file into the software. I load that file into software. The software does the calculation to determine how much of the duplicate is owed for the county and the township. The county and township are billed on the same invoice. They go out, they have to, by law, go out by March 1st. And then we have 3 different periods. There's a discount period, which you get 2 months from the date of the bill. So March and April, by the end of April, if you pay in discount, you get 2% off what you would owe. Then you have the face period, where you pay the straight amount. And then after the face period ends, it's called penalty. And so if taxpayers pay during the penalty period, they pay an additional 10% above the face amount. So you can have a 12% swing depending on when you pay your bill. So that continues, collection on these continue until the end of the year on December 31st. So I keep saying we because my deputy is in the office with me also. So while that's happening, we get another large file from the Board of Assessment again to bill for the school district. So then those bills go out July 1st, and we have the same type of setup with them. You get a two months to pay discount, then a face period, then a penalty period. School district is also set up a little differently in that they have set up a process that taxpayers can pay in installments at face. So you can pay 3 different times, basically a third of your bill each time. And again, you have until December 31st to pay that bill. So activity goes throughout the year. Then there are what we call interim invoices. So let's say, for instance, I'm building an office. I will get what's called an interim bill because it changes the assessment on my property. Then that doesn't always happen at the beginning of a tax year. It may happen in February or March or April. So then we get more, every few months we get more files from the county's Board of Assessment, gets loaded into the software, and it calculates what someone would owe on an interim. So those are done on a rolling basis. They have the same terms in that 2 months from the bill date is discount, then face, then penalty. And again, those roll throughout the year. So as they come in, those get billed. There are some months where there's 2, and there's some months where there's 50. So that just depends on the activity and when Board of Assessments determines that that new assessment is effective. Is that helping? So all those, as payments come in, we get requests from mortgage companies. We get checks from individuals. We have people that come into the office. As they pay, everything gets recorded in the system. We provide monthly reports are provided to each of the taxing authorities as to what activity happened during that month. Obviously, the database has to balance. We're required to account for every penny, as we should. So every month we do a balancing. Actually, I do daily balancing just to make sure I don't get out of whack, because it's hard to find that penny 2 months later. You want to try to find it that day. And at the end of the year, we do the lien process. Well, we send out final notices in November. As of December 31st, whatever isn't paid, the process is closed, and those files and those unpaid parcels and invoices for interims are sent to the Bucks County tax claim. And then we can close out the tax year and begin the next one.
And that was my only other question.
Sure.
About, we get this whole list of people who didn't get a chance to pay their taxes. And do you have a feel for how much of that tax money we actually do get when they get a chance to pay it in the following year without the liens?
For instance, this year we received checks still continue to come into the tax office, even though at this point the books are closed and they're considered liened. So every year I probably take 20 to 30 checks with me to tax claim when I file the liens. So we do find that a good percentage of those are paid even prior to the end of January, and they get processed by tax claim. I don't know what tax claims collection rate is for our specific ones for this township that get liened.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah. You had recommended a 5% increase. How did you come up with 5%?
Well, when I took a look at it, I thought of it 2 different ways. I could ask for smaller increases every year, or to ask for a single increase so that the pay is the same for the next 4 years. And for ease of accounting, honestly, for a lot of it is, I thought that if we just do a single increase so every year is the same pay for the next 4 years, it was...
Right, but that could be the same if it was 2% or 5%.
Correct.
Right. So I'm just curious.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, so right now the payment per parcel is $3.80. I just chose an even 20 cents. So I didn't, instead of choosing like 23 cents, I just chose a flat 20 cents. Is that the question?
Yes, and how does that compare with other townships?
I honestly don't know how other townships pay their collectors. I know that, so I can tell you, like, for instance, mine, for Doylestown Township, it's a flat rate per parcel, so you get $3.80. The county, for instance, pays a different rate for the first 1,000, and then for the up to 5,000. So for the gap from 1,000 to 5,000 parcels, it's a different rate, and then for every parcel over 5,000, it's a third rate. So it just, each entity structures theirs differently. So sometimes it's hard to make a comparison between how one pays versus another, because it's, for instance, the county pays, I think they just approved theirs, and for next tax year, the first 1,000 are paid at $8 and something, and then the next group goes down to like $4.50, and then like the lowest group goes down even further. And I think that they designed it that way because they have some collectors with a very small number of parcels, so they wanted to be able to pay those collectors with smaller parcels a larger amount if that's all they have. So theirs is just, it's hard to compare.
Yeah, see, and that's the difficulty for me.
Right.
I look at it, you do work.
Right.
Other people do similar work. And I don't know how what we pay you is equal to the same value what somebody else is getting paid for doing the same work. Right. I don't know where you fit into all the other people doing the same type of stuff. I don't know.
I know the county pays all county collectors the same. I know this, like Sunderbuck School District pays all of the Sunderbuck School District collectors the same, but since I'm the only township collector, I'm not sure how to even begin to have I would have to find out how other townships pay their collectors.
All right, what do you guys want to do with this?
Excuse me. I have a question.
Well, come to the microphone, Mr. O'Malley.
Joe O'Malley, Rogers Road, Furlong. I take exception, okay? I've always paid on installments. I think Margaret Hall was way back when, and then Mrs. Scarborough. They were always present when I paid my taxes. Now, I think you've been in office 2 years, maybe 2 years plus. I've never seen you in the office. So if they could do it alone, why can't you? I don't understand, why you would seek to have your compensation increased.
I do have a deputy named Tom McCambridge, whom I pay to be in the office during those public hours. So I'm assuming you've met Mr. McCambridge?
Many times.
Yes.
Every time. But I'm asking, why aren't you there taking my check?
I also have another full-time job at Delaware Valley University. So unfortunately, during those public hours, I am at my other full-time job, which is why I've hired the deputy to serve me for those hours.
So we're paying for your deputy.
No, I'm paying the deputy.
You're paying, yeah, but we would end up paying you, okay, so that you could pay your deputy, okay? But you're elected to be the tax collector, and I think that you should be collecting the tax money.
I'm not sure I think it's a moot point on how she collects the taxes from my perspective. I mean, I'll just throw it out there. If I see what you're saying, Ken, about where it would be good to know where we fall within other municipalities, how township collectors are, what their compensation looks like. I would like to get a look at that and see if we're in line with that, if you're way above scale already or well below scale or kind of in a median range. But, I mean, I think that as, any employee, there's a cost of living increase. If there's been no adjustments to this in 4 years, I don't think a 5% increase, if you put that at a cost of living increase at 1.5%, I mean, she's still not even asking for that. So I
think that's mute. No. If other tax collectors could do it on their own, I'd like to know why Mrs. Tomlinson can't do it on her own.
But I don't know why it matters if she's doing it. I mean, how she chooses to run the tax office, it's running efficiently.
Then she shouldn't be asking for an increase from the taxpayers.
All right. Thank you, Mr. O'Malley. You made your point.
Well, it seems like we've got some discussion going on, and if
I don't think we're going to decide this.
You have until February 15th.
I'll make a motion, we table this until Sarah gets a chance to provide us with the information and give us a chance to digest it.
Okay.
Yep.
There's a motion to table. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Sarah. We're not going to decide this.
That's okay. What information are you asking me to provide?
I don't know
that
she's going to get this information.
Well, then
I think it'd be fair to say you can probably get some idea quickly of the
what other tax collectors are paid in the Central Bucks School District. Because I'm
You
sure
mean from their townships
Their
or the
townships,
municipality?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
that would be a comparable way of approaching it, I think, instead of worrying about, like some townships like Ben Salem pay a flat salary, they don't pay any per diems on a bill basis. So it would be a more appropriate comparison to know what other townships and boroughs pay in Central Bucks.
In Central Bucks, okay.
And to Mr. O'Malley's point, he's looking for service, the public service. The tax collector is a public servant, and he hasn't seen the public servant. I think that's his point.
Okay.
And it does make a difference for a lot of residents that their tax collector has a face so they can speak to the tax collector.
Well, one of the reasons I wanted to bring the office to my property is that it does allow me more time to actually be physically in the office. Right now, with it located in the borough
Yeah, we
and
understand.
having the children at home, I can't just leave them at home to go to the office. But if it's on my property, it gives me that freedom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Reports from the
I
solicitor.
have some things later in the agenda, Madam Chairman, but I don't have anything at the moment.
Chief?
Just your normal January reminder that the no solicitation list expired December 31st, so if you want to put your name on it for this current calendar year, you need to send the submission request through the township website, and we'll take care of it. I think currently there's probably 15 new registrations for this year that have been added. So keeping up on it.
Thank you. Township engineer.
Nothing at this time.
Manager.
Yes. First, I have some announcements that we are recipients of the Pennsylvania State Association Township Supervisors for some awards. We took third place for the newsletter. We took second place for other publications, which is our Park and Recreation Guide, and we took third place on the website category.
All of which we won first place in the past. That just means that everyone else is getting more competitive. Which is
They
great.
are. True.
Good.
I also have the training request requiring the overnight stays. The first is for the PELRES conference for Autumn and myself to attend. The second is for Dave Tomko, Autumn and myself to attend the PSATS conference. And the third event is for Autumn and I to attend the APMM conference in May. And then we also have requests from the fire marshal and our park and recreation director for attendance at training conferences as well. And we have information from Autumn about PSATs.
You all have the opportunity to review these requests. Any question about any one of them?
Nope. No.
No, I make a motion that we approve all of them.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And you have other
I just have
news?
one other news, very good news. We received, as everyone knows, we're working on our bond issue, and we've been working with PFM and Public Finance Management on getting our bond rating, and we received that today. And very good news, our bond rating has gone up from AA2 to AA1. So the finance with representatives from the Ways and Means Committee were very helpful, as well as Ken Wallace and Barbara Lyons and Ken Snyder for their assistance. We had a pretty intense phone call last week on information about the community to receive this from Moody's. So this is really excellent news as we go into next week. They will be doing the sale of the bonds on the 24th, and as I mentioned, we need to have a special meeting on the 24th because we'll know the rate and everything on the bonds that they sell that day.
So we're thinking around 5 o'clock, if that's possible, 4 or 5 o'clock. I think you have something, we could push it to 5. Might you be able to get to it?
I told Stephanie, no matter what, I'll be on a train so I can call, but I may be able to, if you can push it till 5, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone good for 5 o'clock, or can you do 5 o'clock?
Yes.
I know you need to be somewhere at 7.
5 is fine.
All right, so
5 o'clock.
we'll meet
January
up for this.
24th,
24th special meeting.
5 o'clock.
Bond issue. Mhm.
So on the bond issue, only
And I
matter on the
think,
agenda.
too, good to point out, with this Moody's rating is, the size of our municipality, this is pretty much the best rating we could
Yes.
possibly get. So-
Absolutely, it's a very good rating
Yeah.
for Doylestown Township.
Excellent.
Yay. Go team. Thank you, congratulations, all of
you.
us. All right, so anything else?
That's all I have at this point in time.
Dave Tomko, you're on for the mailbox policy.
Since we're kind of talking building items real quick, can I just give you a quick update on where we stand with our project?
Is it on the agenda, Mr. Tomko?
It is not, but I'm asking for
Means quick.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Just want to go over schedule and a couple of key items. Talking about financing and bond, what I will say is that we are on schedule. That includes that meeting and target date on the 24th. As far as design and bidding, we are on schedule for that process, except for the interior design proposals. We have 4 in hand. We're reviewing them. We'll have a recommendation shortly on those items. Zoning and permitting, we will be talking about the zoning text and map amendment advertisement tonight. It's been coming in the later in the meeting, and the construction schedule is the same so far. Other items we're looking at are obviously temporary office space being off-site, also options to be on-site as well. So we'll have multiple options for discussion in the future. Again, interior design proposals for movers when needed, and temporary storage space. Any questions on
No,
the
that was
building
really- that was really good.
process? Okay. You have a copy of a memo that I prepared dated January 13th for mailbox repair and replacement policy. I was asked to take a look at this because, number one, we are all interested in costs, and basically what we have is an unwritten policy as to what we do regarding the replacement of mailbox, regardless of existing condition being damaged during winter maintenance operations. We also, as you know, we have multiple myriad of styles and condition of the mailboxes throughout our municipality, which cost anywhere from a couple $100s to thousands of dollars. So what we did is we looked at a couple things. What we paid in the last 2 years in replacement costs, also what the adjacent municipalities' policies they have. And that's part of your memo as well. As a table talks about all of our adjacent municipalities and what their policies are. In 2016, we paid a total of $500, or 2015, $500 for the replacement of mailboxes. And in 16, we paid $1,200. Not too terrible, but what I will point out one or two things. In 2015, one mailbox that was replaced, and I don't necessarily don't think it was physically hit or by the snow plow itself or by the wall of snow that the snow plow operator was clearing, but the cost in and of itself for one mailbox was $500. In 2016, we had replacement costs for one mailbox, which totaled $810. So we've had mailbox replacement costs that cost us just staff labor. Mailbox was, maybe leaning. They straightened it. It was knocked off. They fixed it. We had some, used some materials. But we're seeing costs that include replacement of the mailbox, the post, labor for staff, research time for staff to get equivalent mailboxes, things like that. So what you have is a copy of the policy that I'd like you to consider, and we would want to post this on our website, and basically has an opening about how basically snow removal, an improperly maintained mailbox, if it's struck, will potentially fall apart. Our first point is that we would like to only replace mailboxes that are physically struck by a snowplow. If you maintain a mailbox properly, like I said, and during snow regular operations, unless we have a blizzard, you have no problem. And that's what we've seen throughout our, record keeping.
Dave, I like this, and I think it's really well done.
Okay.
And I don't have any questions except for there should be some time frame which the property owner has to report that there is damage to the mailbox. So,
okay.
Because if they don't report, they don't get any consideration.
I would think 10 days makes sense.
I was thinking 5, but
Well, you may have somebody away for vacation down the
Yeah.
shore or down to Florida or something.
okay, 10 days. Other than that, I don't see any changes necessary. Everyone had a chance to look at this?
No, I thought it was good.
Everyone agree with this process?
Well, I agree with the process. I think having a written policy is always good. I do have some issues, and And the street I live on is kind of like the zone for, excuse me, mailboxes getting hit. It's unusual if one doesn't get hit every week or two. That's even without the snow. I have issues with trying to ascertain whether the mailbox was properly maintained. Example, mine's been knocked over 3 times. I just put it back up and I put more dirt in there and I kind of, try to get it to last a little longer. It's got dents, it's got bangs, et cetera, but it serves its purpose. So that concerns me. I don't know how we're going to ascertain whether it's improperly maintained, and if somebody thinks it isn't, then we're not going to pay for it. So that bothers me. And only physically struck, that also bothers me, because what knocks most of my residents' mailboxes over is the thrust of the snow, not the plow. The plow, pretty much, he stays on the white line. He's pretty good, or she. They go right down. I have an issue there. But the amount of snow, and with the de-icer, it's compact. And I tell you what, it knocks the mailboxes over, I think, more than the plow. So I've got some issues with only physically struck. My third issue is not to exceed $100. I can't imagine what a $500 mailbox looks like. Maybe I went down the wrong aisle at Walmart or something. I just can't imagine what that looks like. But the other side of me says, if someone has a $200 mailbox that got knocked over, he comes to this meeting, or the aggrieved person is, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, we're only going to give you 100. I mean, no board or court in the land is going to say, well, it's too bad, we're only going to do 100, even though you have a $200 mailbox. So I've got an issue with just coming with a point-blank $100 mailbox. So those are my few concerns.
Is that all?
What would you like to see there, Rick?
I think you have to make the person whole. If the mailbox is
That's the point. Is it an $800 hole or is it a $500 hole?
Well, if that person bought an $800 mailbox and it's, valid, that it's an $800 mailbox and it's going to cost us $800 to fix it, then I think we should pay the $800 and get it fixed. It's, you can't, we caused it. We did it. We're liable. And the aggrieved has to be compensated, whether it's this board or a court or whatever. And there's no standing where we can say, oh, well, we have limits.
Can I just point out, based on our research, we have a range of $20, $15 to $100 for all the adjacent municipalities. Some municipalities won't even pay anything. PennDOT will not pay anything. So that's where we based our recommendation on the adjacent municipalities, and also the fact we thought that was a good cap. We're not saying we won't do it. We're saying we're just capping at $100. So if you have a standard mailbox, and we're not even saying if it's maintained properly. Really, the process would be is that if it's been physically hit, so we can prove that it's been whacked by the snowplow, we're saying we will replace it up to $100. If it's been hit by a wall of snow and been knocked down, we're not going to replace. That's really the policy that we're outlining, and that's how it seems like everybody else is doing it as well.
Well, I gave you my opinion. I don't agree with that. The snow is what knocks the mailboxes over, not the snow plows, at least in my experience. And believe me, we've replaced a lot of mailboxes. It's not the plow.
They're also out there doing their job, removing the snow so everyone can get through the streets. I mean, how much liability should the township bear just because there's a lot of snow? I'm not that sympathetic to the position that you're espousing over here.
What do we do if they're out plowing and you rip up somebody's lawn?
Well, by the time it thaws, nobody notices it.
Well, no, they notice it.
Too long.
Our practice has been to obviously repair
I've never
damage.
gotten
Okay, that's Rick's point. If you damage it, fix it.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You talk about being proud of things. One of the proud things in this township that I've heard is that we don't give them no issues. We'll be out there tomorrow or whenever. True. We put in a new mailbox, and we're proud of that. And
to come up and say, well, you didn't maintain it properly, or I don't see any
I don't
marks
see
in the
that as a
snowplow.
prerequisite.
Yeah, no, it is. Read it.
It does not a prerequisite they have to maintain. If it knocks over and it's knocked over by a snowplow, that they
Doylestown Township will repair or replace a mailbox only determined to have been physically struck by a snowplow.
I know, I see that, and I agree with that. It doesn't say anything about it having to been physically, well-maintained before it gets hit by a snowplow. If it's standing, it gets hit, we replace it, period, up to $100.
As snow removal operations commence, it should be possibility.
That's just introductory
of
remarks.
damage to an improperly maintained mailbox increases.
Well, we can take that paragraph that's very gratuitous anyway out and just put it in the policy.
When I looked at this, and this is one of the questions I was asking, and you mentioned it tonight, that 2015 we had one instance. 2016 you had one for 810, and I don't know how many to make up the balance of the $400. So it's not a big problem.
Yeah.
So
5 or 6. One at 50, two at 100.
Okay.
Looks like potentially 2 were repaired by staff at really no cost because, except for labor costs, maybe some materials, but not enough to, I didn't have on the report how much Paul or our road crew went out there and said, we spent $20 on materials and, an hour. And I assumed, about $50 an hour for labor, considering, not only cost plus benefits for our staff.
Yeah, I just kind of, my first initial view was, this is not a big problem. If it's a couple mailboxes, fine, let's fix them. If it became a problem, it was $5,000, $10,000, now we got to control it. But for the few times it happens.
I like it every time we have an issue like this, everyone wants to know what everyone else is doing. So he does the research, and we know what all these surrounding municipalities are doing, and he presents a policy that's consistent with the other municipalities, and you say, it doesn't matter? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it does.
We just said it to Ms. Tomlinson down there. What the other municipalities are doing, here doing something that's consistent, which makes sense to me. My mailboxes have been taken out more often by drivers than, I don't think, ever a snowplow. And I replace them once or twice a year. Well, now they're in cement, so it's really hard, but...
I think that's part of the issue, though. You get that driver to, if you happen to catch them, which you probably
don't know.
But
and that's why we have homeowners insurance.
We're the ones... We, the township, are the ones that knocked the mailbox over. That's cut and dried. It wasn't anybody else on a snowboard. We caused the problem. And I don't see why we're not culpable.
Well, we are up to $100.
Well,
all right, I like the policy, but is there... I will ask to anyone, we'll entertain a motion to approve it. If I hear none, then it's going to fail.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second? Hearing none, the motion fails. Sorry. Nice job, though. I appreciate the effort. Okay, next item on the agenda. Supervisors. Anything, Sean?
Yeah, I have just one thing. From the EAC. While EAC has a lot of, I encourage everybody to come out to our meetings. There's a lot they have planned going on for this next year, but one of those is we'll call it a pseudo fundraiser or opportunity to recover some cost for their budget and that. And they came up with, you heard we talked about this before, it was a EAC magnet for the cars. There's a sample here. You see it has Doylestown Township, it has the year on it. Their committee voted on this. They went through a whole process of vetting it, and to pay homage to our previous chairman, Ray, they have bluebirds on it this year, and they've gone ahead and produced with a donation 500 magnets, and they plan to sell those through here at the township. So we encourage everybody, please participate. I think they have it as an annual. The idea is it's an annual thing. That's why there's a year on it. Maybe we'll change some artwork on that. And but I wanted to bring the sample of it.
With the bicentennial magnet for 2018.
Yeah, well, we were talking about
dog park magnet for 2017.
Exactly. Well, and now you can collect. You can collect them now. Exactly. So that said, and they did. So there's a sample and available along with the dog park and the others. And
oh boy.
at the township.
Okay.
Additionally, they have taken the task to heart when we said we need to come up with some, participate in the 2018 bicentennial. They're taking that seriously, and they're going to get on board. So.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
You have anything, Ken?
Yes, just a couple things. Just wanted to mention, we also did have another audit report on financial systems, and a very good report, no significant deficiencies, and there was only one item that they did find, and they fixed that immediately, and it was not a big deal. So it was a very good job by, again, just the type of procedures and policies the staff has in place. The other one was, I did want to mention, because I thought it was great of the community to do this, and this is, I had attended the 4th Annual Peace and Social Justice Summit. Barb was there as well on Sunday, and in honor of celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King, and it was put on by the Peace Center, or held by the Peace Center.
And CB Cares.
And CB Cares, thank you. Incredible. There was over 300 kids, 400.
More.
These kids gave up 4 hours on their Sunday to come and talk about different related issues that they're concerned about. It could be bigotry, bullying, racism, anything. And they spend a lot of time there. So these kids are really, and it was from all, I don't know how many different schools were there.
3 different school districts.
Yeah, but anyway, it was a great program. So you might have seen it in the paper on Monday, so it was really, really nice. I did want to ask just 2 other questions of Stephanie. One was, we had talked to see if there was any update on Old Colonial Green, because that was in the paper as well, and you had mentioned you were going to meet with them on Monday, so I was wondering what the update was on that.
Yes, I met with them along with Valerie Liggett from Boucher and James. As you know, Valerie is a certified arborist. One of the things, we met with their arborist and representative from their HOA board. We had a good discussion regarding the reforestation and replacement plans that they're developing, and discussed in detail the trees they have a lot of hazard and disease trees on the property, in addition to the ones they took down as part of their master plan for beautification of their complex. We talked about that. They're submitting additional data and information in terms of the size and caliper of the trees, and we will be able to work with them on the appropriate replacement tree and reforestation they're required to do under our ordinances.
Okay. Thanks.
And just one other thing is, also for Stephanie, if there's any update on the Lagrasso track.
Not at this time. We have not had any planned submissions. I would assume later this year, maybe by spring, next couple.
But we haven't heard anything back on their surveying and their test wells.
As far as I know, Dick might know more about their well situation.
Okay.
I know they've been out there doing some testing, but other than that, it's in preparation of their plans. Dick, can you give us an update?
I can tell you they did do the test well. It appears that it will be a good well. There's more testing obviously to be done, but they are certainly talking to the authority in terms of creating a small public water system in the Furlong area.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Okay.
What does that mean? What he just said, what does that mean?
You have to go up to the
Me as
microphone.
resident.
Go up to the microphone. Ask your question again, please.
Joe O'Malley, Rogers Road. What you just said, what does that mean to me as a resident?
I don't know that it necessarily affects you personally, but in terms of starting a water system, that would be the nucleus on the pavilion site to build that to public specifications as opposed to a private water system. There's definitely a need in your area for water. There's at least 37 homes split between Buckingham Township and Doylestown Township that would certainly like to have public water. So it's in its infancy. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody in Furlong would get public water unless a pipe happens to go by the front of their house.
Well, what 37 homes are are you referring to?
I'm referring to all the ones that were identified in DEP's report as having had TCE impact, and some are still on carbon filters today, and some are not doing a thing about their property.
So not on Rogers Road or in the Rogers Road community?
I did not
think that's what
specify
they're saying.
any.
It's too early to really talk about what the future plans would be for it.
I mean, it's public knowledge. Most of the homes that were hit are along the Edison-Furlong corridor and the York Road corridor. There's none that I'm aware of back in the valley or those areas.
I've not retained counsel, but I have referred to counsel. And from my discussions is that should Mr. Grasso drill his well, okay, the quality of water that gets pumped into our homes would be minimally affected. But what could seriously be affected is the quantity of water being pumped into our homes, which would be serious.
Mr. O'Malley, you should bring your counsel to this meeting when it is on our agenda.
Or to the
Okay?
Water Authority, too.
Or to the Water Authority, because right now we can't speak to it, and Mr. John can't speak to it, so let's not put any time into it right now. Bring your
Okay.
guy
Yeah.
to when it's on an agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're,
Ryan.
Brian, did you have anything?
I do not have anything tonight, thank you.
Do you?
I have 2 comments and 2 questions.
Okay.
First, none of my committees met since the last board meeting. My one comment is that if Dave's not mad at me when he's developing the building, if you could do something with this dais here, because I can't see anybody on my left or on my right.
That's not a bad thing.
And if I lean back to talk to somebody, Ed hollers at me because he can't hear me.
He's shaking his head right
Yeah,
now.
he's looking at me now.
All
So,
right.
if you're not mad at me, if you would at least look at making it a U-shaped thing, I would appreciate that. Second thing is, I just would like to make a personal comment about how in life you don't appreciate or recognize things until you actually need or use them. And I have newfound respect and thanks to the first responders, ambulance, the police department, even the fire department, and the medical people were just, as I say, you don't realize it until you need them. And I'd like to special thanks to Sergeant Rose from the police department. There with everything going on, he was the calm. He handled things properly. He made sure everything was taken care of, and it relaxed all of us. So if you give that sergeant my thanks, I really, really appreciate it.
I'll do that.
Now, with 2 questions. Are there any legal limitations on the rental for our facility to replace this for 18 months or so? I mean, do we have to pick the lowest amount?
No,
Is there
there's no legal limit. You have a fiduciary duty to act reasonably, but there is no bidding process or cap imposed.
Okay. My other question is, I will be going to the sewer committee in a couple of days, and I want to look reasonably intelligent. Could you give me an update on where that is?
The zoning hearing board is scheduled for next week on the variances for the placement of the pump station.
Okay.
And once that's finished, we then have, I think, half an easement left to go, and we have a proposal that we're very close with, and that'll be the end of that. So as soon as the variance is concluded, the authority should be in a position to go to advertisement for bids.
Like March or April?
Yeah, I would think.
Okay, thanks.
We're going to have a really busy spring.
Yeah.
Summer. Okay, is that it? Mark?
Yeah, thanks.
All right. The Bicentennial Committee met today for the first time. I would like to propose, please, that we allow non-resident members on the committee to be voting members on the as part of the committee. It's a different kind of beast, and I think we need some broad latitude and participation of these folks serving. Is there a consensus, or do we need a vote?
I'll prepare a revised resolution to do that.
Okay, and the other thing I would like to have Ted Feldstein appointed to the committee. He is a township resident. I'll put that in form of a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, yes, he's on. Thank you. That's all I have. Moving on to the sign ordinance amendments.
The board previously authorized the advertisement of the proposed sign ordinance, and that's been duly advertised. Appropriate copies were forwarded to the Intelligencer as well as the Bucks County Law Library, so it's ready for you to conduct a public hearing. Judy is the primary author in consultation with the Planning Commission, so I'll defer to her if you have any particular questions you may have about it.
I do. Judy, we met with somebody, and the commissioner, one of the commissioners was in the room, and the guy who came here before, the same guy, Carol.
Yeah, Catalyst, the digital guy.
Are they guided by this proposed amendment?
The signage component would be, the structure component would be guided by the other parts of the zoning ordinance.
Would that be allowed or not, those signs in this township? My question is, are we allowing them or not?
Electronic message centers are permitted, not at the size, at least of the presentation that I saw he presented. He had a huge...
So what is where in here is it say the largest size?
Electronic message centers, hang on a second.
One by one. No, I'm only kidding.
Thanks, Jeff. Bear with me a second.
Because it's not a mobile billboard.
No,
it's not a moving billboard.
It's electronic message center. We have digital billboards and electronic message centers. If he was doing off-site advertising, it would be digital billboard.
Right.
If he was doing on-site, for instance, if it was like the one that we saw would be like
a
for
building.
The township,
Yeah.
Like a township sign. Hang on a second.
That raises some concern. I don't know.
Electronic message centers, which are not the billboards, can be, that's on page 14.
Okay.
I'm scanning for the size. The sizes are in the chart. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
It's because I didn't read every part of it tonight.
Setback's 10 feet. Sorry to put you on the spot.
They're permitted to be the same size as a freestanding wall or property sign. So it depends on the district. It's district dependent.
Well, the zoning district would dictate how big the sign would be.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
611.
But the billboard ordinance, which if he's doing off-site advertising, it would be the same ordinance that was adopted in response to the digital billboard challenge that we had several years ago. And the largest size that could be is the one that you see on 611 right now. Am I helping
That
you at all?
answers my question. Okay. We're open to a public hearing here. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. We went through this pretty well for a year or so on the Planning Commission, and it was precipitated, I think, by the Supreme Court decision, and we batted this around and around and around, so I'm comfortable with what we've got.
Is there a motion? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve the proposed amendment to the sign ordinance amendments?
I'll make a motion, we approve the sign ordinance amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'll
Passes 5-0. Thank you.
convey that to the Planning Commission. They spent a lot of time on this.
Yes, I know.
Did a great
Thank
job,
you.
a lot of arguments.
All right, new business, Pine Run Community, HUB, Hub, final land development, recommended by
The
the Planning
applicant
Commission.
has submitted an amended final land development plan for the Pine Run community, which said plans were prepared by Cowell and Associates, were dated September 11, 2015, and were last revised November 1, 2016. Pine Run proposes to demolish the existing community hub and construct a new building at the same location. Additional improvements, including a relocation of existing utility services, a new parking lot, and several new walkways and their own rain garden will be constructed. Your Planning Commission on December 21, 2016, recommended approval subject to conditions. If the board was inclined to approve the amended final plan, I have a list of conditions that I've shared with the engineer, and he's agreeable. So if you'd like to hear more, fine. If not, I will go through the conditions, because I know it's been at the Planning Commission, so they vetted it with some significance.
And they recommended they approve the amended final land
Yes.
development application. All right.
The conditions would be continued compliance with the conditions of the previously approved final plans for the development subject to the modification to saying that's set forth therein. Compliance with the Pickering Courts and Somerset report dated December 12, 2016. Compliance with comments received from the Director of Code Enforcement dated December 15, 2016. Compliance with the Pannoni Associates report dated December 15, 2016, except as per the Planning Commission, it's acceptable to maintain a driveway access where noted on the plans. Compliance with Shea and James report dated December 14, 2016. Compliance with the EAC recommendations dated December 14, 2016. Compliance with the Michael Baker report dated December 12, 2016. A crosswalk located on the north corner of the property shall have an access from one end to the other. And he's asking for a 3-to-1 slope as opposed will be required on the rain garden slope. Receipt of all permits and approvals from agency to having jurisdiction over such matters. Funding and execution of government security agreements in form satisfactory to township solicitor. Applicant pays all costs associated with the application. Plan shall be ADA compliant. Sir, do you agree with those conditions?
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the amended final land development.
I'll make a motion to approve
Is
with
there
the
a second?
recommendation.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good to go. Oh, you heard about our bicentennial in 2018, huh? We're going to ask all of our big residents to participate. So you will hear from us. Get any good ideas. 200 years old. Thanks. Good to see you guys.
The next thing is for the board to consider authorizing for advertisement an ordinance which would rezone 9-7-138, which is the park, from R1 residential to I institutional, and would rezone tax parcel 9-68-30, 9-68-2, and 9-68-3 from R2 to I institutional. It would also create a modification to the use regulations with respect to certain requirements that would not be applicable to township and the township authority, so that there's some clear understanding what we can do and not do with respect to the zoning ordinance. In any event, they're the only changes. Now, they're different than what you saw in your packet because Mario pointed out that there was a error in connection with the recommendation from Judy. It was because of some confusion on the tax map. So they are the correct parcels. So what's being asked of you tonight is to authorize the advertisement of that particular ordinance.
Is there a motion to approve the advertisement of this ordinance?
I'll make that motion to advertise the ordinance.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I like it that we're exempting ourselves.
That's all I have for the moment.
Okay, thank you. Request to hook up public sewer, 20 Pine Valley Road.
Yes, this property fronts the sewer line on Pine Valley that was installed a few years back. The woman is in the process of selling her property, is experiencing some problems, and is in need of connection.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 20 Pine Valley Road. May connect. Self-bid commitment.
You have Dick's memo regarding the participation with the state, the co-stars, for the purchase of salt for next year.
It's going down? Is that right?
Down last year, I don't know what it's doing for 2018.
Less for 27.
$10 less a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a motion to approve the salt purchase commitment?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okey dokey. Treasurer's report for for January 17th, 2017. Is there a motion to approve the report?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the bills list for January 17, 2017, I expect their checks to be signed. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Announcements for next meeting Tuesday, February 7th at 4 p.m. Pension Committee is meeting Tuesday, February 7th at 3 p.m. Bicentennial Committee is meeting Tuesday, February 7th at 2 p.m. Movie and ski tickets are available through the township at discounted prices. So you can contact our administrative offices or go to doylestownrec.com. Christmas tree drop-off until February 15th, and you can do that at the New Britain entrance to Central Park. And please complete your stormwater survey. Its deadline is February 28th at doylestownpa.org. Thank you. We are adjourned. Do we do pictures this afternoon?